And now joined by Christina George-Haugan. She is the wife of the late Humboldt Broncos coach and former coach of the North Peace Navigators, Darcy Haugan, on this weekend, April 6th. Difficult weekend, I imagine, for everybody. And Christina, thanks so much for making time for us today. And you and I have chatted throughout the years. Why don't we just start with, as you approach this day today, how do you process it?
You know, honestly, it is just another date on the calendar for us. We don't miss him anymore or any less on this day. However, it is the date that our life changed. So I guess it's momentous in that manner, and I guess you're just made more aware of it just because of everyone else realizing it. So, I mean, it is just another day, but a nice day to, I think we're at the point now, 6 years in, that, well, we're always going to miss Darcy and we're always going to love him and we're always going to remember him. It's easier to maybe remember some of the fond memories as opposed to the horribleness that day was 6 years ago now.
There are many people that have gone through grief and lost family members, and that doesn't often happen on an international stage. Yours happened on an international stage. As I hear you saying that we don't miss him anymore or less, as how much has that made it a little bit difficult or easier for you to process in that journey? Just to process and to be able to work through it, just being as it's an international stage that did happen on.
Oh, it was hard. Like originally it was awful. You know, you feel like everyone's watching every move that you make, so you don't feel necessarily able to grieve the way you need to. It probably took well over a year before it even kind of really you were able to do any of that. And then some of it you just have to tune out. There's been some really good things in that aspect and some really awful things in the same aspect of the publicity and the media and that public stage, but you just do the best you can.
Now we've seen Carson playing for the Navigators, Jackson going through Prairie Hockey Academy, and just continuing the legacy of Darcy, the two boys playing together as well. How special is that for you as a mother, and obviously knowing that how proud Darcy would be to see that?
Yeah, well, you know, the hockey rink's still a really hard place for me, honestly, but I do love watching my kids play. So when it's my kids on the ice, it makes it a little easier. Carson coming back to the Navs, it was a pretty cool moment. I never imagined seeing our last name on the back of a jersey because Darcy always coached. So it's been pretty cool seeing him do that and seeing him do well. And I know he's the type of player that Darcy would have recruited and would have wanted here. So that's pretty special too. And my boys have a really special relationship between the two of them. They're very close, and so anytime I get to see them on the ice together, it's extra special for sure.
In interviewing some of the players that have played for Darcy over the years, just hearing the kinds of things they speak about him, just the integrity and the work ethic that they still carry to this day in their lives. What does that mean to you when you hear those things?
It's really special because, you know, there was so many years that he invested so much into some of those guys, and to see the impact that he made and the legacy that he left, and to see them, I know like this Lacrete team that's here this weekend, a lot of the guys organizing that team were previous players of his as well, and how they're trying to run it very similarly to how Darcy modeled here, and then I guess the Navs as well, right? It's really neat to see them, I guess, following in his footsteps a little bit and taking that and living it forward.
How often do you come back to Peace River? Obviously the statue out front of the building as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see. Every time I walk by, it's a catch in your throat for sure to see him there, and I think he would be absolutely floored. He would never have imagined or expected anything close to this. He just did what he did because he loved it, and it was the right thing to do. He would never ever expected anything in return. So it is very cool that they honor him in that way. And I was talking to a friend from when we lived here last night, and she said that every single time if she sees and even her kids, if they see snow, if it snows, they're the first ones out there shoveling and sweeping him off, and her kids are the ones doing it. And I'm like, that's really cool that they think enough of that statue that the moment they see snow on it or anything on it, that they're clearing it off and keeping it special.
We had chatted a number of years ago, and as you were journeying through this process, you spoke about your faith and the ability to have that to navigate through the difficult situations. How much has that been a strength for you?
Oh, huge strength, and I just don't know how you could manage a situation like this without it, to be entirely honest. And the people that it's also, that those relationships that it's brought, that have supported us all the way through, that have the same beliefs and have the same faith, and that have continued to kind of uphold us. It's been amazing.
What would you want people to know about, when they run into you now? Obviously it was a little bit different, the first year, as you did allude to in the interview there. What would you like people to know about when they run into you and see you, and from the side of remembering Darcy, just to who your family is now today?
Well, I guess one of the first questions people often ask us is how we're doing. And, it's kind of a loaded question, depending on the day. We're doing well. My kids are phenomenal human beings. Like, I can't say enough about how incredible both my boys are, and to see so much of Darcy in them, and to see kind of those parts coming out as they grow up and mature is really cool. I mean, they're both playing hockey, they're going to school, they're very social and active. Like, they're just incredible human beings. And so to see how they are, it's just amazing. So we're doing well. I mean, it doesn't mean that we don't have bad days and we don't have all of those things, and it doesn't mean that we're over it. I think there's just this stigma in grief that you're either good or bad, and I don't think that that's a thing. I think you're both all of the time. But I mean, we're continuing to move forward. We're taking one step at a time. And I mean, if you see the kids the men that my boys are becoming, it's, makes everything worth it.
As every April 6th comes, is there a tradition you do as a family to remember? And I guess, does it get easier? I don't know if that's even the right question to ask, but do you guys find a way to honor it together?
Well, generally we try to go away together during this time. Now, however, hockey's kind of stepped on that this year. Darcy loved sports, and Darcy also loved to get away, and he loved the beach and the sunshine and warm. So typically when hockey season would end, we would always try to, as a family, get away for a little bit. So around this time, we would always do it anyway. So a few years it's worked. It doesn't always work at the exact day, but we do try to get away together. And so we try to go to like a sporting event somewhere warm is kind of what we have tried to do. And those days are awesome, but I'll watch my son play hockey tomorrow instead, and I will enjoy that as well.
And in that game, in this town that people say Darcy Haugan built, playing for a provincial championship weekend, how special is that for you to see your son out there?
Oh, it's really special. He was really excited to be able to play, and anytime I get to watch him on the ice, I love it.
And anything else, Christina, just about the journey and about your family or yourself as well on this day and through this process?
I don't think so. I think, we're taking it a day at a time still, even 6 years in. And ultimately, I think Darcy would be proud of us.